Hi, I'm Anne and welcome to my country kitchen. Today I will show you how to make some large, deep-filled pork pies that will set your taste buds tingling. So let's get started. With a pork pie recipe, it needs to be done in 2 stages, so it'll be overnight in the fridge. First of all, we've got to make our stock. I've got 2 pig's trotters, but you can use pork belly if you can't get pig's trotters. We're going to put our pig's trotters into the slow cooker. Then we're going to add an onion that I've halved. And then we're going to add 1 teaspoon of salt and 1 teaspoon of white pepper. Then we're going to put 1 litre of cold water in. Make sure your onions are down inside. Put your lid on and turn your slow cooker on. You want it on to high at first. We'll turn it down lower later. It needs about 4 hours to cook. For your pork filling, you're going to need 1.5 kilograms of pork shoulder, finely diced or minced, 250 grams of smoked bacon cubes, 1 teaspoon of fresh thyme, 1 tablespoon of fresh sage, a half a teaspoon of salt, a half a teaspoon of white pepper and a half a teaspoon of nutmeg. You can, if you haven't got fresh herbs, use the dried. In this bowl I've got my pork shoulder and my cubed smoked bacon. I'm now going to add to it my spices and my salt and pepper. Just put it in. Use your hands and mix it well. When it's all incorporated, get a piece of cling film and cover your bowl and put it in the fridge overnight. I've set my oven to 180 degrees C fan oven. You want 200 degrees if it's not a fan oven, or gas mark 6. And now we're going to make our hot water pastry. In the bowl I've got 575 grams of plain flour and a teaspoon of salt and mixed it together. I've got a saucepan here that I'm going to put 220 mils of cold water into. I'm going to put it on the stove to warm up. When this comes up to be warm enough for me to put my lard into, I've got 200 grams of lard here, and we'll dissolve it in the warm water. Don't boil this water, but make sure it's hot enough to melt the lard. Now I'm going to put my lard into my warm water and let it melt over a very low heat. It will take a while. Right, this is now melted completely, so we'll turn our heat off. Now we're going to make a well in our pastry, in our flour, sorry, and we're going to add our lard water. I'm going to stir it with our wooden spoon. Now, using your hands, bring your dough together. Don't knead it too much. Take some flour and put it onto your mat or your surface. Take your dough, put it in the middle. Now we're going to split this up. I've got 3 tins that I'm using, but I don't know what size tins you're going to be using, so split it into the amount that you're going to need. You're going to need some for the tops. Now I want to cut this into 3, so I'll cut it into half first. And then I'll take half of that. And I'll put this in there. Put it on the stove, keep it warm, and put a clean tea towel over it. You want to try and keep this as warm as possible. Now you're going to roll out a piece of this for each one. Don't forget to put flour in your rolling pin. Right, now I'm taking a glass and I'm flouring the outside of it, and I am going to push this pastry up the sides. Now I'm going to take my tin and put my pastry into the tin. Take my glass gently out. Right, now you need to spread this right out inside your tin. Right, if you get a hole in your pastry, just take a little bit more and put it over it, push it in. And there you are. Put it to the side and do it again. This is the pastry that we were keeping warm for the lids, so I've split it into 3 for my 3 pies. Now we're going to take our tins and we're going to measure the lids. Just put the pie tin on there and cut round it. Now we're going to cut a little hole in the centre, because we've got to fill this up with jelly later. And you do the same with all the others. We're now going to put a tray that's been covered with tin foil into the oven to heat up. We're now going to fill our pies. When you're filling your pies, leave it so that it's a domed part in the centre and the outside is lower. Now we're going to take a brush and a little bit of water and brush around the outside. And we're going to take our tops, put each lid on. So, crimp it together with the base. what we're going to do is put these on our tray that we've got heating in the oven. Right, these go into the oven for 30 minutes. My pies have been in the oven for 30 minutes. I'm now going to take them out and egg wash the top. Take your egg wash, just wash over the top. You'll now have to turn your oven down to 160 degrees C for a fan, 180 for a non-fan and gas mark 4. I've taken my pies out of the oven. I've tested them with a meat thermometer. They've been in for 60 minutes and actually they're cooked. These have got to cool down to room temperature now so that I can get them out of their tins. We're now going to make our jelly for our pies. I've got 5 leaves of gelatine here and I'm going to put it into 1 pint of cold water. We're now going to take our stock that we made yesterday and put it into our saucepan. Turn it on. This will need to soak for 5 minutes and in that time this should be hot enough. We don't want it to boil. Right, we are now going to take our gelatine and squeeze the water out, any excess water. And we'll put it into our stock and stir. We're now going to set this aside to cool. Our pies are cooled down, so now we're going to put our jelly into them. I'm using a syringe. You'll do it gently. Now our pies are full of jelly, I've put them into the fridge and they'll stay there overnight. Well, I hope this has inspired you to try the recipe. Please hit the button below to subscribe. I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.